As I was saying, it's an honor and a privilege to be here, and I must say, apologizing to our foreign colleagues present, and to those that are watching us from abroad, konnichiwa, nihon, because you never know, that there is no better place to discuss the future of landscape architecture in a time of somewhat crisis than Portugal. Oh, the laptop, deixa estar, eu depois já vou precisar. And this is simple, because we are experts here in Portugal in crisis, because we have been in crisis ever since 1143, our founding our founding year. So to be a landscape architect, or a Portuguese landscape architect is a double feature of crisis, which enables us, empowers us to discuss moments such as this. And this is nothing new for us, because back in 2004, so 20 years ago, Homan and Langhorst, these are difficult names, from Iowa State University brought us the Apocalyptic Landscape Architecture Manifesto. And amongst many challenges that they identified for the profession, they left this disturbing question, an ominous question. Is the postmodern condition of landscape architecture its extinction? So 20 years since then, we are still wondering about it. On the other hand, on a much more positive note, in 2016, we had the new landscape declaration by more than 700 of our colleagues in the United States of America, following its predecessor from 1966, subscribed by only 6 landscape architects, amongst them Ian McHarg, which we talked about already today. And this new landscape declaration envisioned our profession as the prime steward for humanity's future, especially facing the climate changes and the Anthropocene that was mentioned before. And they somehow see us at an advantage position, pledging to create places that serve both people and nature in a harmonious way. So this is, I believe that these are 2 important notes to frame our reflection on this roundtable, in which I have the pleasure to welcome a majority of non-landscape architects, which is interesting, so that we can see ourselves from outside the profession. And I would start with Catarina, precisely, Catarina Freitas, which is a Director of Municipal Services of Environment, Green Structure, Climate and Energy, and which holds a degree and a master in chemical engineering with several complementary studies in environmental themes. And so I've been told she is only waiting for the right opportunity to also become a landscape architect. But maybe she wants to tell us something more about that. Catarina, walk towards the light, please do. But tell me, Catarina, how do you see the part played by such an endangered species, such as landscape architects, in the management of a great capital such as Lisbon?
Okay. Thank you, Gonçalo. Well, first of all, good morning to everyone. Welcome to Casa do Jardim da Estrela and welcome to Lisbon. I'm very pleased to host this IFLA Executive Council in Casa do Jardim da Estrela. In fact, I consider it very, very unique and very, how can I say, symbolic, because this is a new multifunctional municipal equipment that hosts now an eco-library, a small neighborhood theater, and in the near future, the headquarters of our historical gardens team. So hopefully, in a few weeks' time, there will be plenty of landscape architects moving around this place. Okay. Well, before I comment on your question, let me say that, well, thank you for inviting us and the municipality to participate in this roundabout. And I would like to comment your question on two dimensions, a professional one and a personal one, okay? A professional one, I mean, Lisbon, what you can see here in the city, what you can live in the city is pretty much a consequence of all the work that landscape architect pioneers, landscape architects have done, either working in the municipality or for the municipality, okay? So you know all those names that you mentioned before, also the previous speaker, Gonçalo Caldeira Cabral, and wherever you go, you can feel it, okay? So I think that they've done a fantastic job because they design and project gardens, parks, but they also had a strategic look and vision about the city and its neighborhoods. So actually they could bring all the concepts of, you know, the continuum natural, the need to, and I think it was Didier, you mentioned that we should shift from solutions to systems. And I think it's so easy to say and so difficult to implement, okay? And so, I mean, they really were pioneers, but also visionaries, because all the information and all the concepts that they develop, they are still updated so many decades afterwards. So this knowledge was integrated in a very important and strategic tool for the municipality, which is the Lisbon Master Plan. And the second version of the Lisbon Master Plan already has some important charts that were developed by Gonçalo Ribeitelos and all the other colleagues, now the landscape architects that are working in the municipality. So I think that we have the tools, we have the knowledge, and what is missing? And I think that what is missing is two things. First, to balance the number of landscape architects within the municipality. We have a staff of 11,000 people, employees, okay? We have 350 architects. How many landscape architects do you think we have? No, I mean, come on. Gonçalo Ribeitelos worked for the municipality of Lisbon. Give us some credit. No, we have less than 50. So it's 7 times less. And we are a Mediterranean city, so we are already facing climate change, and all the changes that we are facing will be amplified in the near future because of climate change. So I think that if we want to cope and if we want to address climate change, I think the number of these architects and landscape architects should be a little bit balanced and leveled, okay? So I think that's one comment that I would like to bring. The other is the civil society. How can what is being discussed in this room can percolate? I'm a chemical engineer, for outside. Yes, because there are a couple of colleagues here who are the municipal landscape architects. I'm seeing quite a few now from the municipality. From the 50, huh? They are there. There's some, yeah, okay. So their daily life is not easy because they have to cope with, for example, promoters that usually they bring together lawyers, etc. And instead of, looking at the spirit of what is written in the regulation of our master plan, they are checking whether a comma is there or is on the right place so that we can seal a courtyard. And when we are talking about climate change, to have a green courtyard, it's very, very important for micro climate regulation. So and this does not depend on how brave, how tough our landscape architects. outside the society should also have a role. And I think this message is difficult and we should reach them. So that's my professional comment. My personal comment, apart from wishing one day to become also a colleague of you, is that, it was a fantastic journey to work with the landscape architects, and I'm very pleased to see that Professora Manuela Raposo Magalhães is there. I work in another municipality, and part of her staff, and we did some fantastic studies on how to protect rural areas, how to protect ecological sensitive areas. Also a very tough job to try to integrate this in the master plan. And I think that all the knowledge, I think my feeling and my joy on working on sustainability and on environmental issues comes from that contact and that proximity. And then I arrived to Lisbon, and I also have the opportunity to work and to lead a fantastic team. They are there, okay, and I won't name them because I might forget someone of, but so also this feeling I had of your profession, I'm consolidating it. So they are very, very open-minded people, but very coherent. Do you understand? They are, integrity. And this is something that nowadays, sometimes it goes from one side to the other. And so that's really a joy. And I think that I wish I could help them more to deliver their ideas and their experience. So these two, I think, as a first comment, I would maybe it's suggestion that the name of this session would be not a profession for future, but a profession for planning a resilient and bright future. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Catarina. I now go to my right side. Maria João Centeno, which sits beside me, is a teacher and a researcher in the School of Communication and Media Studies of the Polytechnic of Lisbon, in the scientific area of communication sciences. Maria João, please tell us, how does someone with an habilitation and a PhD in communication sciences gets involved with the project named Landscape Museum? And what is this, and how does landscape and landscape architecture enter your professional path, and how do you look upon them?
Thank you. Good morning. Is it possible to turn this on? Because here you have the website of the Landscape Museum. As my colleague said, this is a communication project. We are a large team, and most of us are from School of Communication and Media Studies, and we get interested in landscape since we managed to have some problems speaking with people about it. For instance, Álvaro, who is here, once said that it's difficult to talk because people don't have vocabulary about landscape. For instance, this is one of our recent publications. It has been done with this, the Portuguese Association, and it is a youth book, and it has that main goal to give people vocabulary to speak about landscape. So the Landscape Museum, it's not only a website page, but there it is the page, the website page. We, from the first, it is online since 2019. And we have, as you can see, not in English, but we have exhibitions. This one is from Álvaro, because we have, we gathered to some people. For instance, Álvaro is a geographer. We have worked with photographers, landscape photographers, or Portuguese landscape photographers, and we want to permit their work to get to other kind of publics. Because what we saw as communication professionals is that sometimes these themes are not near other kinds of publics, other than, for instance, architectures and so. So we work with various kinds of publics through online exhibitions, but not only. We have a lot, or we had a lot, of physical exhibitions. And for instance, in here, you can download a series of activities that we made. And nowadays in Portugal, any cultural organization, school, can download these activities and do them with their students, with their publics in museums and other kinds of organizations. Here you can download the activities. You only have to fulfill these few enters, and then you have 8 different activities, all of them, and before me, a lot of you were talking about awareness, and that's what we want to do, to get people or increase their citizens' literacy, because we feel that people need to know more about what's around them, and we think of the Landscape Museum as a way of getting and helping people to be more aware of what is around. Not only beautiful landscapes, because not all of them are beautiful, but all the natural and social and cultural constructions that we made around us, and that it's possible to be more aware through some kind of mediation projects like this one. This is not the only one, but this is one of them. In here you have various books that we have been publishing. They are more or less in order. This is the last one. Only last week it was published. As you can see, you probably don't know, but we are talking about a Portuguese photographer, landscape photographer, and this is as well João Abreu. It's another member of the museum. You have as well, you have one of Álvaro Domingues' books. You can see, I'm not finding it now, but it's in a pack. It's in this one. It's, as you saw before, probably it wasn't easy for you, but this book, this project with Álvaro began by his photos on Facebook.
And Duarte.
And Duarte as well, but mainly you. And then we talked, during pandemics, we had a large number of meetings together, and we decided to do the book and an online exhibition and a physical exhibition at Porto during a photograph event, which happens 2 and 2 years in Porto. And for us it is with the great honor that we present these, because we think with these, the books, the exhibitions, the educational services, it's easier to reach different kinds of publics that normally those kinds of themes doesn't get. And if you want to ask me something, please do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll complete a turn of the table, and then we will come back to any questions that might appear. We'll get to Álvaro in a moment. Right now, I would like to introduce Ana Sousa, which is a graduate and master in landscape architecture, so now we are preaching to the converted, from the University of Trás-os-Montes and Alto Douro, and she here represents a curious initiative named Landscape Laboratory in a city up north, which is Guimarães. And there she applies her experience in planning, recovery and restoration of river ecosystems, as well as urban management and integration of urban and rural, this is an extremely hard word to say in English, green areas. So, Ana, what is going on in Guimarães? Are we converting the masses to the landscape cause?
Hello, good morning, everyone, or maybe good afternoon. Yes, we are trying to do that. We have lots of projects. I work, like Gonçalo said, in Landscape Laboratory, and we are a center of investigation and education. That's the main goals, that's the main two things that we have there. And the investigation, and they brought along landscape architects because they had the scientific part of it, with the investigators, and they thought that it might be good to have some technicians as well that have knowing the field and having some techniques to implement on the field as well. And we have, like Catarina said and Maria João, we have a problem with people understanding and welcoming new ideas and new projects. And what we will to control a bit of that, we do some education part, and we have a team of education. It's a team that goes to schools, and we teach the kids since a little age, and we talk to them about all the projects that we have. And we understand that this is a very important thing to teach them since they're kids, so they can take home what they learn, and they can grow and have a better understanding of the landscape and the environment and sustainability and all of that. And we also have projects, all of the projects that we have always have the involvement of the community. For example, we have right now a big project. Guimarães is one of the 100 cities chosen to be a mission city, which means that by 2030 we should be climate neutral. And for that, we are right now doing a project that is called District C, which basically is an area that we decided to be a pilot area to create a climate neutral area. We're trying to do just a small space right now and then grow from there to the whole city. This involves the community as well, because we have co-creation sessions when people go there, and we understand that this helps for them to know what we're doing. This helps us because they give us ideas, and they tell us about the historical places that we have there, the history, and that's very important to us because we want to respect all of the history there. We also do. And that project is also very important for landscape architects because of the green infrastructures that we wanted to create. Because the goal of the District C is to reduce 80% of the emissions in that area, and to have 20% being with planting of trees, creating green infrastructures to compensate those 20%. So that's a very big project that we're doing right now. Also, we are doing European funding with Spain that we are trying to connect. We have a green corridor between Portugal and Spain in the northern of Portugal. Let me see what more projects do we have that it's important to mention. We also have yeah, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Okay, so we have District C, we have the Green Gap as well. We also did the second urban forest in Portugal with the Miyawaki method. This came from a urban funding, no, not urban, environment funding that we had, which was Limpar, and we basically, kids from high school, they did this roadmap, and they measure the time that took from place to place in the center of the city, and they basically give that to the community so they can go on walk and try to minimize the traffic in the center of the city. And from that, we also involve the community, and we choose a place to do a urban forest with the Miyawaki method. And we brought people along. They planted the trees. We planted 1,000 species on 800 square meters. It was a lot of trees. A lot of the community helped, and the goal would be to try and help the carbon of the high traffic area on that. So that was a big project as well, always involving the community. We also have Pegadas, which is like I said, we have a group of people working with us that goes to schools, and not only to schools, but mainly to schools. They do over 65 years old as well, and they do with the adult community, but that's a bit harder to schedule and for them to come to the sessions. But we do a lot of, we have ecovias as well. That came from a very, very good project that we did, which was called Ave para Todos. We once again involved the community. We brought the kids to the field, and they pointed out what they thought it was best for the place. Like they pointed out problems, they pointed out solutions, and ecovias came from that. They thought that cleaning the sides of the river, and we now plant as well some trees there, and we did a pathway alongside the river, and that was kids' ideas. And we now are implementing that with nature-based solutions, because the margins of the rivers are really in bad condition. We have 3 main rivers there, and they're really bad conditions. So we are trying to make it better and to connect all of the rivers and all of the green areas that we have, the parks, all of the green areas, try to connect them so people can go and walk or bike from one to the other. That's also a big one that we have, which is ecovias. We are doing it right now. And I think that's it for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. I would now introduce Fátima Bacharel, which is also a landscape architect with a PhD in landscape arts and techniques from the University of Évora. She has an extensive professional experience in spatial planning and a vast set of communications and publications. But I would like to ask her, Fátima, what part does landscape architecture play in the general administration of the territory where you work? In developing plans such as the Landscape Transformation Program or the European Territorial Agenda 2030?
Okay. What's happening? So thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure for the General Directorate for Territory to be here. We are the Landscape and Spatial Planning Authority in Portugal, and our official mission is to provide the right of citizens to the appropriate spatial planning of the Portuguese Constitution and also applying the European Landscape Convention. So, scaling up the previous more local approaches that we heard, we underline that it's fundamental to think about the Ribertel thought that transforming nature into balanced systems demands a landscape vision. And that should be the reference framework for decision makers and both application of public policies and their management. But how can we have a real landscape policy instead of the present set of policies landscape? Agriculture's landscape, forestry landscape, industrial landscape, but not a global landscape. So recognizing that landscapes are the complex result of human interaction with natural systems and resources, it's a crucial starting point from which to begin the promotion of territorial cohesion That's the ministry where we belong, through an innovative and social culture. Our experience, namely in dealing with landscape architects, as I am, is that using the structured concepts of landscape architecture as a discipline, landscape architects are privileged peer of other specialized thematic areas, establishing their dialogue, reflecting the interaction in a more and more exigent future. This dialogue will conduct, after all, to the progressive need to refocus the concept of landscape involving ecology and culture. We heard about culture yet in the morning, in the process of spatial planning. Is it easy or fast to do this? No, it is not. But for sure, landscape is heritage, present and future for the general direction for territory. And about the landscape transformation program, we are responsible for the National Spatial Planning Policy Program that was approved in 2019, and the Landscape Transition Program approved in 2020 that are closely aligned to the orientations of the Territorial Agenda 2030, stressing the relevance of well-functioning and resilient ecosystems to address climate change adaptation and to effectively promote territorial cohesion. This first level of territorial planning competencies is the backbone of the entire territorial organization and scales down the instruments and other programs of lower levels. If you are interested, then in the second round, I can explain the more detailed ideas of that transformation program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Fátima. And now we move on to Álvaro Domingues, which was previously referred. He is a geographer with a PhD in human geography, also an associate professor at the Faculty of Architecture of the University of Porto, a corresponding member of the Lisbon Academy of Science, but most of all, he's, if I may, an irreverent thinker, an irreverent and provocative thinker, a prolific author of the books that we saw and many more. Always reflecting around the subject of landscape and mostly the people who shape it. So, Álvaro, what is your insight on landscape architecture and its impact on the lives of those that you so carefully observe?
Okay, thank you. Hello. It's very difficult to say something clear and definitive about that because I was writing here the title of the film of Almodóvar, Human on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. Is something like that. You know that Timothy Martin says that nature, this word we say so naturally, in fact is a very difficult word in times of Anthropocene or Capitalocene, I think. And so Timothy says that nature may be a thing that nature or science talk about, and we have an infinite, a never-ending list of things from micro to macro cosmos, from biology to physics. The second thing is that nature is a fantasy, like biophilia, for instance. Freud says that when we lost something, which is the case of nature, we have a kind of trauma and difficulties to live with the trauma. And then is very common nowadays to have social ideologies and personal crenças, believes on that side of an imaginary nature. And the third one is the normative nature, the natural order of things. We have no natural order. We have political orders. And it's very dangerous, as you may think, to defend a certain kind of natural order of things. When I wrote Transgenic Landscapes, I stole to biology the polemics, the controversy about a kind of synthetic nature and the discussion, the ethical and moral and scientific and so aesthetical discussion about transgenics is very useful when you speak about nature. I say that because landscape have, I think, three, pelo menos, at least three polemics. One of that is the metamorphosis of the city. Now we don't have cities. We have urban spaces. We have urban processes. And so the city lost the center, the form, it exploded, and the limits. And so the dichotomies between urban and rural. And if you think about rural, now most of the times we talk about agrobusiness, which is a completely different thing that the traditional rural spaces or the traditional techniques of cultivating stuff. And the other, I said that, is the discussion about nature. So we can deny, we can forget that landscape is not a clear word. Normally, landscape it's involved, is a network of polemics, of contradictions, of local or national or global subjects about all the things. We must, we can, in Portuguese, paisagificar to landscape any sort of political problems. It's very easy. You talk about energy, about industry, about lithium, you talk about migrants, you talk about irrigation techniques, and always is landscape.
So to landscapeify anything.
Landscapeify, that is the thing. So you said before that my experience in a medium school the last year, 3 years ago, a young student said me that here we don't have landscape. I am a geographer. Classical geographers told me, like Orlando Ribeiro, that geography was the science that studied the landscape. And I must count till 50. And I asked him, so what is landscape for you? And it was very quick to answer me, and said, so you see a great mountain with snow, and green fields, perhaps a cow, or the ocean, uma palmeira, a palm tree not erected but like this. The skyline of Dubai or the skyline of New York, and the Guimarães Historic Center. Extraordinary landscapes, not ordinary landscapes. Because in the classroom, in the workshop, I saw that they don't have palavras, words,
Words.
for vocabulary to
Express themselves.
to speak about. To speak about. They use very vague words like green spaces. I hate green spaces because it's a pseudo concept that makes you not understand about nothing. Green space must be all the Amazonia and a green like this made of plastic. So all the urban space was cifrado.
It was deciphered.
Yes, buildings, but what about? And the signs of the agriculture, the passive agriculture, they don't see. They don't see, for instance, that the trees in lines was in the past the trees that support the wine plant. I don't know. The wine plant.
The vineyards.
Okay. Yes, the vineyards. So, if you consider the very fast evolution of technology, because technological stuff is a strong medium of transformation. If you consider the political situation, if you consider the international laws on commerce, you see that next day or perhaps 2 days later, your surrounding landscape may become a totally different thing. And you must have information. Because if you don't have information, the public discussion or the civic very important role of landscape is compromised. I agree with Hans Gare, which is a French geographer, that says that have a paper named "Landscape as Politics," and it is very easy. Basta com it's enough to think what are you talking about when we talk about landscape. Who talks? About what? What are the discussion? What is the strategy to legitimate the idea? And then comes other that speaks in other way, and then others don't speak, don't say nothing, but they think things about landscape. So for me, in a word, landscape is a political challenge, is a political tool, a political dispositive to understand what is this, our place, other places, our situation in Europe or in the world, because all that complex evolution is transcript in landscape language. So, it's my work.
Okay, thank you very much, Álvaro. I know we are running low on time, but I don't know if is it possible to open a round of questions to the table. So I would invite everyone to pose any questions to our speakers. As you saw, we have different approaches and insights on landscape architecture, both from inside and outside our profession, which gives us a very new and fresh portrait of ourselves. So I would invite you to pose some questions. We have one.
I would ask you to introduce yourself, please.
Yes, please introduce yourselves and...
Nuno Jacinto. My question or my intervention and question is, I'm sorry, I think we are a little bit talking about chanson d'amis when we need to go to, in reality, our challenges are much more like Pessoa's poem, much higher, much more density and much more difficult. And my issue is how us as professionals in the several parts, working in private sector, in public sector, in planning, in designing, in interpreting planning for the clients and designing, we are hopefully one of the, at least one that I encounter, one of the professions that we ourselves have a better integration of our ethics, like someone was talking about, but the other persons that we work, also in designing jobs, subjects, and also don't have the same integration of ethics about a common ground, a world for all, a development with integrating nature that has to support us with all its values now and for all the generations, transforming landscape. How do we get there, and in the view of each one of us? Because we need more knowledge, we need to explain it with all the serious look of Newton's binomials, but we also have to have it as trendy as a Taylor Swift song. So we really have a very huge task, on my view. And perhaps some of you had some suggestions how we can keep that, or get a little bit more near that.
Thank you very much. I don't know if there is any other question or if we'll... Okay, so I will invite the table to answer, please.
Okay, so we move back the discussion to the profession, and sometimes I know that this is a strong word, but many other professions are very skilled on doing that, which is to be cooperative. And I realized that, for example, I'm an engineer of the classic engineer, so you had civil, chemical, mechanical, electrics, and then it appears environmental engineer. And they are, they are tigers, okay? So they are very cooperative, and I think that, I know that this does not sound nice, but sometimes it's needed. Because from my point of view, you are really the most skilled people to facilitate a dialogue between design, between urban planning, ecology, hydrogeology, soils, patrimony, history, so many areas. And your landscape architects, I think that they are the most skilled people to do it so. So please sell yourselves, okay? I'm doing what I can, but you need to do it. But I'm just sorry, but I was checking on a mobile phone, and I didn't mention the projects that are going on in Lisbon, but we got a fantastic information just 10 minutes ago. Together with Guimarães and Porto, Lisbon is one of the 100 mission cities, and we got the information that we will be labeled as our city climate contract was approved by the European Commission, so we can move on. This means that we have to accelerate climate transition, and we will have to be climate neutral by 2030, which, I mean, you can see I don't sleep, okay, with these goals. But what I would like just to challenge is that, please, landscape architects, we won't be totally climate neutral. I mean, we will be climate neutral, but we will reduce the carbon emissions by 80%, considering the baseline in 2002. Means that we have to 20% that would have to be compensated by the green infrastructure. It's your time, guys. Go for it.
Thank you, Catarina. If anyone else wants to pick up the question.
Since I'm from communication studies, I probably have something to say. I think in any area, not specifically yours, you have to underline who are your true stakeholders. Who are the ones you want to reach? Because the problem is not within you, yourselves, because you know what you're talking about. Probably others don't. So you have to get strategic. I was asking if mass media, Portuguese mass media, know that this encounter is happening today. Where are they? Where is the Portuguese media now? They are not from the Portuguese media, they are from here. So, I'm not saying that only the Portuguese media matters, but it is important to get the issues you want to get public, you have to get them public, okay? It's not easy because not only you want that, a lot like you want that, but you have to get strategic. You have to gather you were talking earlier of politicians. You have some in here, not the minister, but you have some in here. So you have to get them and build something with them and that something has to get public. Because if others don't matter with the issues, they are not going to be important. That's what I have to say, in communication terms.
So we shouldn't be ashamed of what we do, right?
No.
Something similar, because I think that this is quite clear and is very important, how to communicate, how to create public space about this type of questions, not using totalizing words like nature or sustainable or that kind of things. For instance, in the last water and climate crisis in Algarve, is very easy to explain that the landscape or the basic visual aspect of landscape are the product of tourism, the very different and differently specialized activities and irrigated agribusiness. And if you take these polemics and if you show the landscape images and the schemas
And the schematics.
and the schematics, it's very easy to explain what is the question about landscape. Because normally we heard discussion about the past, about heritage landscapes and this kind of thing, and the normal climate about this discussion is the lost of I don't know, admirable, or the lost Eden of the past, which is completely false. The past is Salazar, is the dictatorship, is the very poor country, the country of the poor agricultures. Well, the past is not good. It's a kind of toxic
Dystopia, somewhat of a dystopia.
Yes. But they talk about that because it's good for entertainment. And they don't speak about very, very recent metamorphosis of the landscape and what kind of explanations. What kind of natures, not the nature, what kind of natures? What contradiction between water and irrigation, or between water and the thousands forms of using and rejecting water. So we must make this pedagogy, and I'm not sure that the books and the disciplines of the school are clear about that. Because I see my son and my grandson, I see the books. And the words, the concepts are very generic. And they talk nothing about what is occurring all around. It's because they say that they don't have landscape.
They don't have landscape. Thank you very much. Fátima?
Okay.
Pede-se a comparência de funcionário bazar à sala 3.
So, despite it's common for all of us that we had some great personalities and recognized of landscape architects, the way from their beginning to today is a hard way. It means that from 40 years ago, we stepped away with very great difficulties, and the spatial planning in Portugal and the landscape planning has evolved a lot, but yet with our experience recent with the landscape transformation program, it's very clear that having strategies or instruments or programs is not enough. We must act. And this landscape transformation program is a new perspective because it sinks in the landscape transformation, the real concept of landscape with the cultural and ecological components. And for the first time in spatial planning instruments, it has a budget associated. And so we are in 2025, when these programs will end, we are able to get 3 years of transformation with payments, and then 10 years for maintenance and ecosystems payment too. So it's a very, very interesting experience. Fortunately, I'm landscape architect, and I'm coordinating this landscape transformation program, and it's very, very important to apply to our skills of global vision to get together all the professions and the sectors that are involving in that. And also the local actors, of course. They are the transformers. But for the first time, they will have financial instruments to apply, and one of our great difficulties is to get them to the process. We open applies to some projects to be financed, and nobody answers. That's the great difficulty. People don't believe in programs, in strategies, in bureaucracy. And our role is to make them believe again. And I think landscape architects are able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fátima. Anna, your thoughts on this?
Okay, very quickly to answer your question a bit more directly and quickly. I think the problem is people don't understand what landscape architects do. I think they just think that we plant trees or something like that. And But I think people don't understand that we have lots of abilities and we have a set of skills in different areas. And maybe in the future, and it's our job as well to try and tell them what we do and what we can do to make the world a bit better, the environment a bit better. But hopefully it gets better now that we are talking more and more about climate change, and hopefully people will get more interested and understand what landscape architects actually do, and they go and we have more architects, hopefully.
Thank you, Anna. If I may, there's also a question that if we want to get the message through, we have to get out there and pass it through. We should remember that Ribartelos faced the dictatorship on several occasions just to pass the message around flood area risk, around many number of subjects. Nowadays, fortunately, all we have to face are some insults on social media, and that's about it. I don't know if Catarina wants to say one last word, very quick, please, because we have
Just very
coffee
quick
break
comment.
waiting.
Casa dos Jardins da Estrela is open to exhibit your work. Okay, so landscape architects are very much welcome. And you mentioned about the landscape museum. So this is a multifunctional room. We had here, when we opened this house in September, we had an exhibition that was curated by Teresa Betancourt da Câmara, one of your colleagues, that was about historical gardens in Lisbon. But other landscape architecture projects or landscape areas are very much welcome here. So please contact us, and we'll be happy to accommodate your projects. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Catarina. I believe that Álvaro has one last and very quick word.
One last and very quick word about the difficulties of common people to understand what is a landscape planning or a landscape policy. Because when I talk to my students, they say that landscape architects are the projectors,
Designers.
Of public parks and gardens for rich people. No, it's not what I think. They say. Or, as they are architects, things near other architectures. So, is a very strong idea about that. And in Portugal, we didn't have experience, for instance, when building highways to design transformations about the lecture, the understanding of this new big technology, which cut through landscape, and what is the impact between one thing, this big thing, and the other stuff. Okay. And we didn't have opportunities to communicate with other kind or other way of doing landscape architecture. And okay. It's urgent to inform about this.
Okay. Thank you very much, João.
And work means having ideas and proposing and transforming those ideas into projects, mainly or perhaps in plans, and then into projects. And then the final challenge, transform the projects into final construction and over. That's the point. That's the difference between landscape architects and the other professions that concerns on territory. Our territory is only landscape. In landscape, that's our problem, because that's our compromise. I think you can understand my words.
Okay, thank you very much, João. I would like to thank our speakers, your attention and your resistance. We now invite you to continue this discussion at the table, at the Portuguese way, around some coffee and cookies. So thank you very much.